Hi, this is David again. This is part two of my child abuse story when I was growing up. I want to thank everybody that did watch part one and left comments, and I appreciate the support. I'm glad people watched it, and I hope it could help some people in some way. I don't know how. Maybe, I saw one comment where someone was scared to talk about their abuse, and uh, was hoping they'd be able to one day. And that's what you really need to do. You really need to, even if you just look in the mirror and tell a story, you need to do that. When I first started uh, in 2008, I started realizing what was going on with my child abuse with Frank, and I started writing it down. That's how I started dealing with it at first. And by writing it down, memories started popping up in my head that I'd been buried for years and years. And when I was writing this little story, many nights I went to bed crying because it's stuff I hadn't thought about in years. So I would encourage you and everybody else that has this problem to, if you're like me, you can't afford therapy, so at least talk about it. It makes you feel better when you really do talk about it. I promise you. It's a band-aid on is all it is. It's not going to cure anything, but it will make you feel better if you'll talk about it. Just want to go on a little bit more about what other kind of abuse, because of a lot of things that I see that are protecting children today just didn't happen when I was growing up. Uh, for instance, when I was in middle school, peer pressure in school is very, very hard. I mean, I don't even need to go into that. People kill themselves, commit suicide over peer pressure. Well, I had the same problem when I was going to school. Uh, Frank was very strict, old-fashioned. He didn't believe in long hair. They had long hair in the 70s. I wasn't crazy about long hair. I mean, I would have liked to have had long hair and been cool, but Frank wouldn't allow it. So, I mean, he whipped me many a time because I wouldn't go get a haircut, but he wouldn't take the time to stop and say, why didn't you go get a haircut? Well, you know somebody give me the damn money and I'll go get the damn haircut. But I didn't get a chance to say that. It was like, you didn't get a haircut, beating, walk out of the room. Well, uh, I'll tell you more about this other story later, but we was on the way to the farm, which had to go to the farm and work every weekend. I wasn't able to spend my childhood with my friends because I had to work on the farm he had on the weekends. But anyway, we was on the way Saturday morning, and he took me by to get a haircut. So, and he had done that before. He's taken me by, like when mother wouldn't give me the money to get a haircut, he'd take me by and get a haircut. Of course, it was always short, naturally. But he would always threaten us with a burr, shaved a burr. Well, in the 70s, if you had a burr, you might as well just be gay because they're going to beat the hell out of you. So my hair was just, over my ear a little bit and bang down front. It was getting kind of long. Summer was almost over, so anyway, we go to the get a haircut. I'm sitting in the chair. I'm all strapped in, and I'm not worried, threatened, or anything because we've been through this before. And of course, the man looks at Frank, and I'm probably about, let me guess, about 12, 13 years old, something like that. Looks at Frank and he says, "Well, how do you want to cut it?" And I'm expecting to hear the normal, just a regular haircut. And he says, "I want you to give him a burr." And I mean, my heart went down into my stomach. I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And that's not even the worst part of it. He said, "I want you to give him a burr on top and leave it long on the sides." Uh, Picture in your mind who has a bald head with long hair on the sides. Bozo the Clown. Yes. How humiliating, And I had to go to school looking like this. And that, to me, is cruel, mean. Uh, you just don't do that. If that happened nowadays, I mean, anyway, that's just another one of the examples of the abuse that I got from Frank growing up. Uh, that really stands out. That really hurt just as much as being beat on the legs. I mean, in a way, even the mental abuse from my mother hurt the same way. I mean, it all hurt. There was no love. There was never. I don't remember if I said in my first video, but I never, and I'm not exaggerating, never once in my life did I ever hear my mother say I love you, ever. Never. Uh, my grandmother did, and that's a different story. My grandmother, she took come around a lot, and she helped out with me, and kind of taught me a few things. But she said she loved me, but my mother never did, never once. Anyway, Frank had this thing about farms. We lived in the city though, but he had to have a farm, and so he bought a farm, and I couldn't go out on Saturday and play football or do things with my friends on the weekends from about the time I was, I'm gonna say about 5 or 6 years old, probably let's say about 7 years old, till the time I was about 15. I couldn't do anything on the weekends because I had to go to the farm and work. And Frank took me to the farm. They had bought a farm, and it was about 50 acres, and it had a little old, like 100-year-old little travel trailer there that was real small, and that's where we stayed at on the weekends, just me and him in this little bitty small teensy tiny trailer, while he worked my ass off during the day, cutting down trees, pulling briar. I mean, I would just have ripped up hands because I had to pull briar. Just imagine 50 acres of thicket when he bought that farm. And it's a beautiful place nowadays. It's all cleared out. My half sister, has built like a 2-story beautiful brick home on there. My mother actually lives in a trailer house down there on there, and it's a beautiful piece of land now, thanks to my childhood labor that I gave up my childhood for, and my half sister's never even once said, thank you for giving up your childhood, or has she ever said sorry that my dad beat you? She, anyway, that's a different story. But I gave up my childhood, and I don't want sympathy for that, because I mean, I could, before I heard back in the early 1900s, I'd hear about childs working in factories, for pennies a day. So I don't want sympathy for that, you know. So I'm not. I don't know. I know there's a lot of bad things that have happened to kids, and I'm just, wanting to explain, mine, because uh, I mean, it's like you just get. It's like somebody took a baseball bat up one side of the head with the physical abuse, and your mother took a baseball bat and hit you up the other side of the head with it, and you're just like, you're screwed up for life, pretty much. I'm proud of myself in ways I'm not successful at all. I mean, but I'm proud of my ways that I've managed to just survive in this world, and that's all I've done. I'm not standing on the corner with a cardboard sign, "Will work for food." I'm not like that. I don't have a home. Right now I don't even have a vehicle. Uh, I mean, I'll go for live in a motel for a while. I don't do drugs or anything. I drink alcohol. I don't get drunk either. I just drink a few beers at night. Kind of eases the pain a little bit. So that's what I'm proud of myself for, that I haven't gone so far down where I could just wallow in self-pity, but I'm not just, successful, or even, it's been a struggle to survive in this world. And, I don't like to blame people, but I have to blame Frank and my mother. They didn't teach me how to anything about life. They just beat me, or they mentally put me down, or they humiliated me, like with the haircut. But the beatings, and then Frank has many times taken his fist and knocked me in the face. Just if I would say the wrong word, here comes that fist, and he knocked the crap out of me. Like, I don't know how I never got a busted jaw, but I got a bloody nose several times. I mean, just, this was a strong man. If I think about it, I'll put up a picture of him. You can see what I'm talking about. He's a strong man compared to a 7, 8, 10-year-old boy. He's a strong man. But I'm trying to think. I left. My mother finally left him when I was about 16, and she moved to Dallas. I didn't want to move to Dallas, and I was still in school, so uh, you know, that's. I'm not gonna go on with the rest of my life. There's a lot of other stuff that happened, but the abuse stopped when I was about 14 to 15 years old. So usually when most kids are about 14 to 15 years old, they've learned everything that they need to learn in life to know what it takes to get through and deal with life. They're not stupid. They pretty much know about life. And when I was at that age, I didn't know anything about. I was just scared. I mentioned in my first video about fear, and because of never knowing when Frank was going to sneak up and start beating me without warning, which he did that quite often, has just caused me to, I'm scared of everything. I don't mean I'm, like a pussy or nothing like that, but just the unknown scares the crap out of me, and it's because of that. And I'm living in constant fear. Yes, I take medications for it, and I probably will for the rest of my life. It's damage that's been done, and like I said, talking about it, it just seems like it does help a little bit. And I would encourage anybody, you know, that if you see any kind of abuse going on, mentally, physically, man, call. You can do that nowadays. I wish they would have had that in the '60s. Anything, because it's the stuff that he did and my mother did are felonies nowadays. They'd both be in jail, and the neighbors as well for not reporting it. And I encourage anybody, if you suspect it and you don't call, you can be just as guilty. But don't let that have you, because I was scared to tell anybody. That's why there was nobody to go to anyway to begin with. But I mean, I didn't tell my friends or anything like that. I was too embarrassed. So if you think about kids nowadays, if they're being abused mentally, physically, sexually, if they're being abused, they're not gonna. It's hard for them to talk about it, and they'll let it go on for a while. So you probably need to, if you see that, man, give somebody a call. Leave comments. Thanks for watching, man. If I can help in any way, please just feel free to leave me a message, or I'll give you my email. If you want to talk or anything, I'll be glad to talk with anybody. Just thanks for watching, and I'll try to post another one again later if people are interested. Thanks.